All right, cool. That was weird. In this quick tutorial, brought to you, 3, 2, 1. In this quick tutorial brought to you by SoldFast.com, we're going to walk you through how to utilize DealCheck.io to find your home's value. Now, we really like DealCheck because they're geared towards real estate investors. So it's a little bit of a more comprehensive tool. They're also not real estate agents. So they're not trying to sell you on listing the property. They're not trying to sell mortgage leads to people that are paying them. In fact, if we go to pricing, we can see they're free for our purposes. Their whole goal is to charge investors $20 a month to be able to figure out what to pay for all kinds of properties. So as a homeowner, DealCheck.io can be a fantastic tool to very easily kind of figure out what your property should sell for. I've got a free account created that I'm going to sign into here. And we're going to go over, let me go back. All right, cool. 3, 2, 1. I've got a free account that I'm going to sign into here. And we're simply going to go to the add a property button. Now we can just leave it as the default flip template for our purposes. That doesn't really matter. And go to import data. For the sake of this example, we're going to use 839 Ridgetop Circle Drive in St. Charles, Missouri, and click search. And it's going to pull in all the information from the internet, realtor.com information, as well as DealCheck, as well as some past kind of photos from when that home was sold before. And we're going to click Save Property. Now, we're not really concerned with this. This is getting a little bit into the weeds of what a real estate investor would want to pay or how much money it might cost them. For our purposes in home valuation, we're simply going to go to this compare properties. No. All right, 3, 2, 1. Now, we're not really going to get into all of this. All we're looking at here is sales comps and ARV. So if we click on that, it's going to give us basically how they're coming up with this information. Now, when we're running comps on properties, we want to look at properties that are closest to ours and most recently sold. Now, it's worth pointing out that Missouri is actually a non-disclosure state. So these dollar amounts they're ripping here is the most recently listed sales price, not necessarily what the property sold for. The only way if you're in a non-disclosure state is to reach out to a licensed local real estate agent like our team at SoldFast.com and ask them to look in the MLS of what these properties actually sold for. We'd be happy to do that for you at our office at absolutely no charge. Now, one thing we're going to want to do is make sure that we're comparing like to like. So when we're running comps, we want to make sure that we're as close to the property as possible, we're as recent in time as possible, and that it matches roughly the same square footage, same beds, and same baths. For instance, this particular house is 2,100 square feet. So some of these options on here, like 2,900 square feet, for instance, I wouldn't really want to use. That's getting too large. What I like with DealCheck, though, is they kind of do some of the tallying up and summing things for you. You don't have to do any calculations or kind of take down any notes. How I typically handle these, I'm going to sort by distance to start, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and uncheck the ones that are miles away. Typically, when you're running comps, you want to be within about a quarter mile, and you want to be as recent as possible to the sale time. So typically within the past like 3 to 6 months, if you can. It can be tempting to ignore some of these valuations. Like if I really want $650,000 for my property, but we're nowhere near 3,000 square feet. So that's simply not accurate. I'm going to narrow us down to this guy. So roughly a little over a quarter of a mile. Going to lean towards accuracy on ones that were sold more recently. So some of these, I'll add this guy back in because it's the same distance. So, these ones are more interesting to me than these two. But if we go and actually look at that, that cut the value down a ton. So the initial estimate was 477. The average based on those four comes to 371 and $900. Now, we would need to look at these properties a little bit more closely to determine, are they similar in condition to our property? Honestly, there's not a great way to do this. You're just going to kind of copy and paste and, Google search some addresses. But we might find that this one that, for instance, went for $450,000 really isn't comparable to the house that we're looking at selling. Now, if I look at this guy here, I believe that it is this one or this one. So we'd want to look at, okay, is this property similar in condition? Just cut that whole part. So we'd simply want to throw this address into Google, take a look at what comes up and determine, does this property kind of match our home or not? Is it an accurate comparable value or not? Click on this one and look at it. This place is beautiful. That is an incredible outdoor entertaining space. Does your property have that or not? Dang it. All right, cool. Redo that. Jeez. So if we click on this particular property, we can see this house is beautiful. It's an incredible outdoor entertaining space. Very nice, very remodeled, updated pretty tastefully, tons of cabinets and built-ins, masters, a bit dated for my taste, but very nice walk-in showers and things. We kind of had to have that honest heart-to-heart of like, does our property have this kind of outdoor entertaining space and a pool and everything, or are we maybe not going to get $450,000 for the property? In this one, I'm going to say that that's actually not a comp, and I'm going to remove that guy, which actually pretty drastically lowers the value on that property down to $342,000. Now, I'm not quite sure why. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Now, if we remove that, that drops our average price per square foot down to $342,000, which from what I actually know about this area and this property, that actually feels pretty low. It's probably going to come more like into this range of 387. I think part of why on DealCheck here that's breaking a little bit, it doesn't look like they have square footage information for these two properties. So if I saw that kind of a drop, I'd simply want to go into these and add in the square footage in order to make it a little bit more accurate, which you can find simply just Google searching those addresses. 3, 2, 1. While DealCheck does require a little bit of poking around, I find it to be super convenient to use and super easy to understand. If you're trying to figure out as a homeowner what the value of your home is, consider giving 3, 2, 1. As a homeowner, if you're trying to figure out what a realistic, accurate value for your home is, consider giving DealCheck.io a try. Again, totally free to use. You've got nothing to lose. On behalf of our team at SoldFast.com, hopefully you found this tutorial helpful.